Good evening, everyone. We're just going to wait 1 minute or two while everyone logs in and gets sorted for tonight's program. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. And while you're logging in, just make sure to sit back and relax. Don't need to worry about taking any notes or writing down any of our book recommendations because we'll email you those in a couple of days.
Sit back and relax. I was like, okay. Yes, I will.
All right. Wait just a few more seconds to let people log in. All right, let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Milwaukee Public Library Book Chat. Each month we focus on a different theme and bring in guests from the public who are famous around here in Milwaukee and local and awesome and authors. My name is Beth and I'm the adult librarian at the Milwaukee Public Library East Branch, which is over by North and Kramer. And my co-host is my esteemed colleague, Greg, who is the manager of the Center Street branch. We encourage you to use the chat box to interact with each other and to share your book recommendations throughout our discussion. We'll have time for questions for our hosts or our guests today, and you can use the Q&A box to submit those questions directly to Greg and I. As always, sit back, relax, enjoy the program. You'll receive an email with the book recommendations in a couple of days after our presentation, along with a recording link to the program. Without further ado, let's introduce our special guests. Greg, do you want to read the introduction?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, yay! Thank you guys for coming. So, Barbara and Valeria Cerda, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Our daughter. I had to remember my Spanish lessons. Our daughters to Milwaukee and its South Side, and sisters to each other. They come from a working class and immigrant background. They spend their time making the South Side a better place and spending lots of time with family and working on what you'll hear later about tonight, Barby the Book Fairy, and their La Revo Book Sisters organization. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, yeah, you go for it.
I was muted. I was going to say, do you want to take the slide down while we chat?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So your sisters, you both are readers. Can you give us a little insight about growing up together, becoming the champions of reading that you are today? A little brief background.
Should we start with a poll to see who you think is older? I'm just kidding. It's Barbara. But I think growing up together, we were really lucky to get a lot of books from my mom. Even if it was like worksheet type books or books that I wouldn't even say that like categorized under Latinx, right? But just books in general.
Reference books.
Reference books, yeah, like
children's dictionary.
the dictionaries, just like a lot of stuff. So and we weren't strangers to the library either. We used to go to the Forest Home Library. I think maybe we ventured off to like Central Library maybe like once or twice, but
Yeah, it was fun. It was always an adventure.
yeah. But I guess working together now, I'm the bookstore and I mostly support more on Barby the Book Fairy. It's been I wouldn't say a wild ride, but it's been very rewarding to give back, I think, in one way, and also to like lift and uplift ourselves as like Latina business owners who read and who are, we're very multi-dimensional people, right? Where we work with our family and we don't see these things in categories. Like we're family oriented and we're sisters and we own a business and we're readers, and that kind of is all together, right? We don't see those separately.
Greg, didn't you start at Forest Home?
I did. That's where I started my career at Milwaukee Public Library. I have very fond memories of that library, and most of the time it was so busy in there. I've never worked at a busier library with more people coming in and out doing all sorts of things.
Yeah, I remember I used to ride my bike. Did you ever come with us? We're like 3 or 4 years apart.
No,
3,
2.5.
Really?
We're like, I don't think I was old enough to take my bike to go to the library, but I think it was.
I was pretty brave, so I'd go pretty far on my bike, and I'd go to the Forest Home Library and use the computers and browse books and take books home. like Matilda. Matilda was like our number one movie
Yeah.
growing up.
Oh, a
But
classic.
yeah, it's I think I bought my first book in 5th grade. And I still have it. So I don't know. My love of reading, started, I think it started before then, but that is like the time that I remember reading the most. And Valeria's always also been a reader, and I feel like she's always been smarter than me, and she did a lot better in school than I did. And yeah, now we're working together, and it's been pretty exciting, and like she said, rewarding to work with each other and like be able to like grow and heal.
Mhm.
Excellent. So Barbie the Book Fairy came first. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And can you kind of tell us about how many years ago that was and kind of your journey into becoming Barbie the Book Fairy?
Yeah. We launched Barby the Book Fairy in 2020. And it really was it happened very organically by just cleaning out my own books and refilling the free little libraries in our community, in our neighborhoods, because I noticed that they were always empty. This was an activity that I did with my daughters. And as I think about it more deeply, that wanting to give back and wanting to do more, it was in response to the pandemic as a mutual aid initiative. And it also came from a need to create my own space and like our own activity, our own project, and our own where we can do whatever we want. That is like the motto and like the tagline that we use all the time with Barby the Book Fairy, and a way to engage my daughters. And when we came across the opportunity to apply for a grant, I decided to focus to buy books written by Black and Brown authors, and to also support a local bookstore. And that's when Valeria steps in, because she was helping me come up with titles that we could buy books to refill the free little libraries with. And it was always kind of challenging to find books that were written by Black and Brown authors, or to even know where to get them. The list that I did have, I know that the bookstore that I was working with had to order them special, because they weren't just available in the bookstore. And it's fine. I think every bookstore has their own niche. But that's when we saw the need for a Latinx focused space, a place where we can buy books that were in Spanish and like available and accessible to our community.
So
I think you got it.
so do you buy mostly Spanish language, a mix? What's the focus on the ones that you buy to put in the little free libraries?
So for the little free libraries, I try to put BIPOC books inside of the little free libraries, but I also receive public donations. So whatever folks want to donate and give, I do take gently used books. But when I do have the opportunity to either fundraise or apply for grants, then I do buy our BIPOC books and new books. So that kids can have these really beautiful books and be the first to crack the spine and write their name in it, for the first time. So that's been, the mission of Barby the Book Fairy is, providing those empowering books, new books, and books that represent the people who live in our community.
I love
How fast do these books go out of these little free libraries? Like, you refill
quickly.
them and they're gone?
Yeah, within a day or two. Sometimes I'll see them in for a week, but they go pretty quickly. I mean, if people refill them or not, I mean, it's fine, because there's a lot of books.
That's awesome. So you're obviously reaching a bunch. How many like little libraries do you think you refill on average?
So I have a list of about 15 little libraries that I've been, I have a list of about 15 little libraries, but people also send me, their addresses when they have a little library in front of their house.
That's awesome. So you're reaching a bunch of people, clearly.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Do you put anything inside the books when you leave them?
I do, especially when I have the new books. I do put a little bookmark in them, and then I put a sticker on them that says Barbie the Book Fairy.
Do you have one of your stickers with you?
I do.
Show us.
I'll go grab it.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, we share an office with the bookstore and Barbie the Book Fairy, so it's kind of all in the mix together.
I swear we were prepared with all these other stickers and I didn't grab these.
Okay.
So this is our book fairy sticker, Barbie the Book Fairy sticker. And
Very
then
nice.
this is the bookmark.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yep. And then it's in Spanish too. So it like tells the reader to enjoy the book, to open it up.
I think
and
you should read it all.
I'll read it. Dear reader. There's no better feeling than opening a book. Run your hand over the smooth cover, fan the pages to look at all the words, and open the first page and crease the cover. This book is yours. Happy reading. With love, Barbie the Book Fairy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My whole heart just like bing.
And that's our sticker.
You
Yeah.
find people return them back to the library for other people to read too?
Huh?
Do you think people return them
Oh,
back into the?
Maybe. I don't know.
It'd be hard to tell.
I think some folks do, but I mean, it's probably hard to let go of a book that you really like.
And if it's new.
And if it's
Yeah.
new,
It's
I mean,
relevant.
like, what I did today is I opened up this book and I like definitely creased it. And I'm like, I'm not giving this to no one. Wrote my name in it. Like,
Nice. And I see all your tabs.
yeah, all my tabs. So this book is mine. I'm not giving that one away.
And say I don't know about Beth, but like I never buy books because I'm surrounded by books all day. So it's like, oh, these are all my books. They're the library's books.
Yeah.
I do
It's hard
buy.
not to buy books.
It's hard. Yeah. We're lucky. I review romance novels for Library Journal, which is one of my like fun things I get to do for work. And I get sent, paper advanced reading copies, which is I like to put those in little free libraries because you can't sell those. They're not meant to be, they're not quite finished, but they're really great and they're great to give away for free. So I usually give them out at library programs, but I haven't been able to do that because we haven't had in-person library programming. So I have like a route in my neighborhood that I go around and
Nice.
put books in. But ours neighborhood don't get emptied as much as I would hope. Some of them I feel like it's like, let's curate this a little better. Some of the stuff, it's like your mission to put new things that are very relevant to the community that you're putting the books in is so important because everybody deserves a new book. It's just theirs. I love that so much.
Right.
So Barbie the Book Fairy started in 2020, and then Greg and I were doing some research, before our interview with you today, and in your 88.9 Radio Milwaukee interview, which we'll include a link to for everyone to listen to later, it said you came up with the idea for the bookstore while sitting in your kitchen. Can you kind of tell us about that conversation and how that all went down?
Yeah, I think just a little over a year that it was a Saturday. I think it was, I can't really remember how we came to this plan of like, I'm just gonna go to your house, but I think at some point I'm like, you know what? Like, I think we've been kind of moving in circles a lot. Let's just sit down and put pen to paper and kind of just do an entire brain dump of everything that we were thinking of. And there's so much to think of, right? Because it's one thing to like have an idea, and then it's another thing to like know what resources or like what are the 1, 2, 3s and the steps that you have to do to open it. And so thinking about like what's the business structure we want to do, like who's doing what's your role, what's the title, like who do we know that could fix this? And so I think after that brain dump, it was like I think we had like a collective sigh. We're like, okay, we did it. And I guess like we didn't know what to expect after that, but like you heard on the interview, shortly after that, my dad called us and said, and he was like really, really serious, like just kind of in a tone that I've never really heard. And he said, like, when's the next flight to Mexico? Can you buy it tonight? And I was like, I had already like a feeling of like what he was gonna say. And I was on the phone. Barbara was in the kitchen in front of me, sitting in front of me. And I don't know what my face looked like, but she knew that something was wrong just because of how I responded. And my dad said that my grandma had gone. Was it like se nos fue, or
He said, "Ya no tengo mamá."
yeah,
Like,
he said,
I don't have a mom anymore.
and it was like a moment where like we dropped everything and did everything that we could to like make sure he could get to Mexico. It was wild, like trying to get him there. But I think like soon after that, like we reflected a lot on like, dang, like we were never really able to share the success of like our bookstore to our grandma. You know, and for us to be able to do that because our grandma couldn't read or write. And but like, you know, in her own capacity, she did a lot of things that were very revolutionary, which was like learning how to sign her name. I think like even fighting against the patriarchy, right? Like not staying quiet and always like having something to say to people was like really important. And she raised like 12 kids in like a rural town in Mexico with the resources that like a town of that size can provide. But you know, and so we learned a lot about like what it meant for her to be revolutionary. And soon after that, our maternal grandmother passed away. I want to say
A month
after that. And I think it was also another point of reflection for us because my maternal grandmother, she lives actually next door to my mom's house where we're at now. She has been disabled most of her life. And so her revolution looked differently than our paternal grandmother, because while she did know like how to read and write, and she like, you know, would read magazines and do crossword puzzles at home, she was mostly just always at home for the most part. But I think we witnessed her personal revolution by her actually doing her own family tree, just using a phone book. And my grandma had a different father than the rest of her siblings that she hardly knew. And so she actually like got her whole family tree from Texas and shared that with us. And so I think through like the personal revolutions of our grandmothers, I think it was only really fitting for us to name our store after like, obviously like the historical revolutions, but like very personal revolutions that kind of make us who we are. And I think it's really informed and shaped like how we carry out our business and like who we are as business owners and bookstore owners and readers and members of the community, because we know what it's like to have barriers put in front of you and you do what you can to like, whether it's related to reading or not, right? To like kind of get knowledge and gain it as a person historically like who has always had barriers in front of them. So yeah. Yeah. And soon after that, on a month after that, I think, I mean, at least personally for me, my grieving kind of moved to action. Like that's how I carried it out. And like, I felt a sort of urgency to get it done. And so a month after our second grandmother had passed away, on March 8th, we launched Revo Books on International Women's Day. And so our anniversary is coming up. And so we're also like celebrating and honoring a lot of our grandmothers. I think mommy's anniversary was like 7 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the anniversaries of like their deaths just happened like less than a week ago. And so now we're kind of, we've been thinking about them a lot as we celebrate our anniversary, because strangely enough, I think it was because of that we moved to action very quickly. So yeah, it's been a lot.
Sounds like so much happening in such a short amount of time, but look at all the excellent things you've already accomplished. So that's a testament to you both and your family.
Yeah, and it's a reflection of like what our communities have also been through. You know, we all have these like strong women who have impacted our lives in some way, or we've all gone through this like phase of like self-discovery and like revolution in very different ways. And from even like the simplest things to like the colors of our logo, that has been a reflection of our community. You know, the colors, you know, kind of signify that landscape of Mexico. You know, you have the green agave in some parts of Mexico, and then like the dirt is like bright red.
Yeah.
Like it's just like this beautiful like red color. And you know, a lot of our families are also very religious, and so are some like some of those like religious aspects to our logo. And just having like the I don't even know what it's called, the bandolier.
Yeah.
The bandolier, like that, you know, is like a symbol of resistance. And our communities have always been, you know, resistant and resilient. And we want to, you know, we wanted to make sure that our store reflects what our community is. And I think we've done it.
And I think even in like the last year, right, like we've been resilient, whether it was of choice or not. Like a lot of people like celebrated holidays or went through like another year, like having lost someone because of the pandemic. And so I think it's also a way that we've been able to like provide light, and a reminder that like our stories, like they really do matter, whether I guess whether like society, right, or history has told us that they don't.
I think you guys picked a really great name. When I was, obviously I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker at all, but when I was researching you guys, I was like, the Revo. And I did think of revolution. Like I was like, oh, is that just like short for revolution? And then as I was looking it up more, I was like, oh, this can mean more things than that. You know, it could be like a dream or even a daydream or a cause. So I think like that's a really good name you guys picked, because, you know, like books can mean all of those different things.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was really hard. We asked so many people what they thought. We really tried to involve a lot of people at every step of the process of making it what it is today.
Yeah. I think there was like elements of it that we couldn't, I think like, I mean, pre-launch, before anyone really knew much about it, there was just elements of the identity we couldn't even roll out or think of or prepare for, because it was informed by people who support us. Even our logo, we launched in March, but it didn't come out till September. So I don't think we would have been able to ever do it beforehand without actually getting out there and like being in action.
Right.
I think it was in your Shepherd Express article that I pulled a quote: revolution is something that happens in the streets, but it's something that must first begin with us. And that really struck home. And listening to you both tonight, like, yes, absolutely.
That's a t-shirt. Well,
yeah.
I mean, write it down. I'll send it back to you. Absolutely. I love your logo. It's so striking, and the colors and knowing the inspiration behind all that will show everyone again when we pull this up to the visual. Let's see.
We had really amazing artists draw out our logo.
Yeah.
Nicole Acosta and Yasmin Delgado, they worked with us and were like super patient with us. We sent them so many revisions and ideas, and just want to well, shout them out for,
Absolutely.
yeah, for supporting us through that process.
Are they local? here
Yeah,
too?
they're local. Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah, we try to source local as much as we can, because that's their community.
Mhm.
I had a question about the Spanish language books that you guys get. When I was at Forest Home in Mitchell Street, I managed the Spanish language collection there, and I know it can be really hard to find Spanish language books, especially through big vendors that the library often has to use. And partly because, they're like really short print runs, they don't produce as many as they do with book in English. Or, of just like where they're being produced, like Guadalajara, I know is a huge printing area. It's like, how do you guys get like quantities of books? Like, what do you guys do?
We go to the motherland.
That's what I figured.
You should have seen us last time. We brought boxes and boxes, and it was so
Yeah.
stressful. We're
Woo.
taping them up. Yeah, we've
was
gone to
wild.
Mexico.
Yeah.
We
It's-
have gone to Mexico.
Yeah, I think it's been a struggle, like one going to like big box stores and trying to find these books. And then now we're still kind of running into that struggle, even just being now we're a bookstore. And it's important not just to like get books that are written in English, translated in Spanish, but books that
Mhm.
your first language it was written in was in Spanish. So that's been really hard, and especially as a small business, like we just can't buy
Yeah.
tickets to Mexico or pay for like import to get books in Spanish. So they really are
Yeah,
gems, and you don't even know the struggle
yeah.
shopping.
But that's
for
why
them.
we're hoping to get more books out there as much as we can, because then they'll just be recycled back and we can just keep passing them along. I mean, there are books that have been in my family since my mom was a kid. Like I have a book that was my mom's. So hopefully with us getting as many books as we can out there, they'll be recycled into
Right.
the free little libraries, into
Right.
our own libraries, and maybe have I hope my grandchildren or great grandchildren have my books. Like I hope they have this book, like so.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to think, like why is this difficult? There's like over 30 million Spanish speakers in the United States. Why is there not easy access to, like
Yeah.
huge access to books written in Spanish?
Exactly.
It's like a big disconnect. So I'm glad you guys are here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We needed
absolutely.
this.
So cool. East Library, our largest ESL population is Russian speakers, and we have a similarly difficult time finding Russian language items to offer. So I can't even imagine.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Russian?
And, we shelve them in the Cyrillic alphabet. It's a little hard to sometimes decipher when I like looking at the covers. Do you have a favorite book that was written first in Spanish that you like to recommend to either grown-ups or teens that we might not have known about, or one that is really popular right now with your patrons?
I will tell you what is popular with the people. It's anything by Carlos Cuauhtemoc Sanchez. Like we had a couple that were used and swarms, like people fighting for that. So we
I
have
can
a
never
couple
keep
of
that
them
on
that
the shelf
yeah.
ever at the library.
Yep. So definitely that's like the crowd favorite. Everyone loves them some Carlos, apparently. But Isabel Allende is also a close second, right? And luckily they're easy for us to get our hands on, but
Right.
so that's just been really nice, and to hear the feedback that we get from people on what they want. I think that's really important for us. There's no way that we would be able to think about all these books on our own.
Right. Our shelves are very specially curated by our readers.
Client customer informed, right? Because I mean, we say this a lot, like we can't do it all. And I think
Mhm.
by being informed from like what people want from us, I think that helps us, right, be better in other ways. So for all the listeners out there, just make sure to let us know what you want to see. And we're extremely open to really any suggestions. Yeah.
It's very public library minded of you both, because that's really how we build our collections, because without folks telling us what they want to read, we have to make our best guess, right? But we love it when people say, you don't have this, you need to get it, and I need it, and you just gotta tell us and we'll try our best to do it. So
Now we know.
Yeah.
we do have a request for purchase form on our website. People can fill out. So if you do see something that you think would be great in the library as well, you can fill that out and it goes to our selectors, and they will, if there's budget and a way to get it, it usually gets added into the system, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. As we're drawing close to 6:30, I just want to ask you both, how can our patrons find you? Social media, website, we'll send the links, of course, but just let everybody know the best place that they can get hooked up with your store and your mission.
So on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, is Twitter also?
Yes, we do have Twitter.
We have a Twitter.
We do have Twitter.
And we're working on TikTok. We have a TikTok, but it's progress.
hard.
It's progress. La Revo Books. You can also email us with any requests at larevobooks@gmail.com. There's also a contact us form on our website that we do check. So if you go to larevobooks.com, you could really send us any message. And really that goes for any social media platform. You can send us a direct message and we'll get in contact with you as soon as possible. We do have full-time jobs outside of the bookstore.
Yeah. I think we do a really good job of answering.
But we do our
requests. You can get a hold of the owners of La Revo Books pretty easily.
Yeah.
So
accessible.
Yeah, we're very accessible. And I think I've been thinking a lot about that, especially like sometimes folks will call me on my phone. It's like, hey, do you have this book? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we're always happy to talk to people.
I will attest to that, because we reached out to you via your website and here we are. Look at where we are.
Yes. And for Barby the Book Fairy, so it's Barby Book Fairy.
Barby with a Y.
Barby with a Y, Book Fairy, on Instagram, on Facebook. My email is barbythebookfairy@gmail.com. So I'm about to launch a website in the next couple weeks. So my website will be nice and redone. So look forward to that.
And I heard you take donations of gently used books. Is
do.
anything special you're looking for or really like to get into donation?
Yeah, well, I do take gently used books. If you do have Black and brown books and books written in other languages, I would love those. But I know that those are, a little tougher to give away. But I do take those books. I also take monetary donations. So if you don't want to donate your books, I do have an option for that, and that helps support different programming. I don't just fill up the free little libraries. There are tons of programs that as they come up in my head, I just roll them out. So you can pop on my Facebook and my Instagram to find out what current events are, what programs and things we are getting involved in.
Excellent. Greg, any other questions from you? And then if you're listening in, make sure if you have any questions for our special guests, you can drop them in the Q&A box. I don't see any at the moment, but if we don't, we can, the next part of our program is always book recommendations, and Barby and Valeria came with great ones. There's the logo again, which I'm really excited.
Yes, that is our logo.
Yeah, I immediately
Book
thought
is
of,
green, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
green.
Yeah, I immediately thought of like Zapata or like Pancho Villa when I saw the
Yeah.
bandolier.
Mhm.
This is from like a Caucasian person, so you guys like nailed it. You guys nailed it for
You're around
sure.
books all the time, so that's good.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll let you quick plug some of the book suggestions that you brought with us tonight. So we're really
Yes.
excited to hear.
You want me
Yeah,
to start?
you
Okay,
start.
I'll start. So Dreaming of You, it is a poetry book by Melissa Lozada Oliva. And from what I get from her Instagram, I've read some of the poems in there, but it seems like she's like reimagining Selena's life. And, you know, it's quite funny, and they're beautiful poems in there. So, you know, we have those in stock. And then A Dream Called Home by Reina Grande is the sequel to The Distance Between Us, and it's a really beautiful immigrant story. It is a memoir, and that is a very emotional and very touching book. That's, you know, and Reina Grande is also releasing a new book. So that is another book that we have in stock and it is available at the public library.
And Barbara also was just casually on the phone with Reina Grande through a local book club about a couple, was it Sunday?
Yeah, so on Sundays. So like I said, we all have strong women in our lives, and one strong woman in my life is my godmother Blanca, and she has a book club, and she invited Reina Grande to attend her book club on Sunday, and she showed up. So I was in conversation, they were in conversation with Reina Grande over the weekend.
And Casa de los Espíritus is actually a request from a customer, a friend of ours, Reina Morales. And I remember at our pop-ups, like people would come up, and when we had the book on the table, she would like physically grab the book and like put it in like customers' hands and be like, you need to buy this book right now. So shout out to Reina. We got Casa de los Espíritus for her in the house. And so it's just kind of an example of a book that we put on our shelves because we have people who are like fanatics of certain books, and also like, and I trust that, right? That people really like it. Freedom is a constant struggle by Angela Davis. I mean, when we talk about strong women, like we talk about Angela Davis, and I think it's an important book. I think it's timely. I think it's important, like as a part of folks like political education and like whatever way that you like to handle that. But I feel like if political education is something that's important to you, freedom is a constant struggle is important. And so I think at some point it's been a bestseller throughout the summer. I don't see us retiring it as a book on our shelves, but for sure it's super important that like when we talk about women, we also talk about the intersections, like other intersections of oppression. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, Unbreakable. So with the theme with the theme of poderosas and strong women, Jenny Rivera was actually she still is one of my favorite singers, but this is a book about her. And it was one of the first books that we bought in our store in like bulk. Valeria's like, I just ordered 15 copies of Unbreakable. And I'm like, that's excessive. But we have that one. And Jenny Rivera has also, has passed on. She was, a fierce, strong, single mother that I have looked up to. So I was super excited to have her book in our store.
It's like we were like living out our dream. Like there's a book about Jenny Rivera. We got to get a bunch, and I ordered a lot. So
that was another hard one to keep on the shelf at the library.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh really? Oh.
Yeah, there's two of them, isn't there? That she wrote. Is there two?
I don't know. It says that this one's like the official version. I think someone wrote one about her that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They were both hard to keep on the shelf.
Yeah. But her daughter's releasing one. It's on its way to us. So the Chiquis Rivera book is coming out. And that's going to be like pretty scandalous. It's very relevant. There's a lot
Yeah.
of current, it's pop culture, right? But also really real, because you learn about women who work in like an industry that's like dominated by men
Right.
and like super machista. And so to read like their words, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. And then
Um,
she's also, I mean, she's also is dealing with like the loss of her mother, and you know, just like the grieving and the healing that goes on with
Yeah.
like journaling, and like imagine writing a book like
yeah. True.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Janet Rivera.
You want to do Brown Girls?
Brown Girls. So this is a tough one to keep on our shelves. But it Prisca Dorcas Mojica Rodriguez is a Nicaraguan writer, and I don't want to call her an influencer. I feel like maybe she's an influencer, but she's founder of Latina Rebels, and she wrote this book that talks about, you know, how volunteerism, you know, affects us, colorism affects us, you know, patriarchal culture, or how the patriarchy affects us. So this is a really important book, I think, for women of color, and this is another one that is really hard to keep on our shelves, and the cover is like super soft.
I was about to say it's silky.
And it's a really nice, silky, beautiful cover. So yeah, another one that is very popular and highly recommended.
The Good Girl Myth. I haven't read it yet, but I put it on there in hopes that other people would pick it up. But it is, of course, on my list. But I think it's important to know like that you can be a powerful, important, you know, woman, and you also don't have to be considered like good girl. So I think for anyone else who is kind of jumping into maybe like the self-help section, I think this is more self-helpy than the rest that we've named, but definitely we just got a shipment of them in. They'll be in stock soon, but we had to definitely put that one in. And then my personal favorite, the one that I really talk about the most, and when people ask me what I recommend, is the Red Convertible. I think I kind of learned what it meant to like have fun reading by reading the Red Convertible. And also it helped promote like a really good ritual for myself to get myself to bed and feel like I could unwind, and also like reward myself with a really good story that wasn't just a good story because it was like had the twists and turns, which was really nice, but also that it's written, one, by a Native woman, and two, weaves a lot of like Native tradition, mythology, stories, and culture together. I really enjoyed it, so it's definitely my favorite.
Go.
And then
Okay,
I Am Diosa. Yes.
So I Am Diosa. I selected this book because this is going to be my birthday present to myself. And so my birthday's on February 17th. If anyone wants to know, but I'm going to read this book because it is a self-help book. And I've done a lot of reflecting this year. And I'm one of those people that suffers from imposter syndrome. And that is, you know, feeling maybe not so confident in all, you know, aspects of my life, despite all of the great things that we've been doing. And, you know, that's just part of me that wants to like work on myself and loving myself and being more in touch with, you know, with what I really need to heal and to feel good every day. So that one I'm very excited to pick up, and I've heard good things about it.
All right, well, on to me. So when you guys were talking about your favorite books that have been translated or like were written in Spanish first, one of my favorite books actually is In the Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafran. And that book was written in Spanish. And I was like, oh, I do have a favorite book that was written in Spanish first. So yeah, that's my other plug. But these two, The Fifth Son by Camilla Townsend. I read this right before I went to Mexico City, like 3 months before the pandemic started. because I'm a nerd and I wanted to learn more about the Aztecs before I actually like went to all the awesome museums in Mexico City. Anyway, long story short, it is a really kind of groundbreaking book in that it tells the story of the Aztecs, not from a European standpoint, and it uses a lot of sources that were written in the Nahua language. So like really kind of like eye-opening, and that like Cortez like was not that great of a warrior. He just had a lot of things that worked on his side. So it's kind of like, you know, a more of a rewrite of history in a different perspective. And that's why I really liked it. Another one, Nickel Boys, I'm sure everyone's heard of Colson Whitehead. A really sad story about a boys' home in Florida. Yeah, in Florida. Really depressing, kind of in the atrocities that take place in the 60s, but then it also has this other side where so it goes from the 1960s to like 2010s, and it's about these boys kind of reconciling with their past. So it's like it got this horrible side that also has this like great redemption piece to it, which makes it far more uplifting and not depressing. So,
all right, it's my turn. So I actually lifted one of my recs from Barbara and Valeria's list because I was like, I want to read that book so much. So this first one is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. I know her as Zoe Castile, who writes really awesome, steamy romance novels. So that's her other pen name. So I've read all of those. So this one is on my list. It's perfect for people who like Isabel Allende. There's Cousins Light Magic, really beautiful writing. It's just absolutely wonderful. So I hope everyone can pick that one up. I'm sure you stock it in store, or at least people could order it from you. And then I had to include this absolutely gorgeous romance set in Hollywood, modern Hollywood, is about an actress who is struggling with lupus, and she gets hired for this big, huge film by a director that she had fallen in love with previously, and now they're going to work together. And it's just on our theme of strong women, she just seeing her struggles to do the work, not show any cracks, getting hurt in the process, but also finding love. It's just a really beautiful, gorgeous story. And the author, Kennedy Ryan, is a romance writer who I just really admire for really putting you through that angsty, emotional ringer, but always giving you that really great happily ever after at the end. So you can really get through the pain knowing that it's going to turn out okay. You don't know how she does it, and it's really, really magical. And this cover is just my favorite thing that I've seen in the past year. It's just so great. Love it. And then You Had Me at Ola. I got to review that for Library Journal about a year ago, and I gave it a star. It's just this really beautiful, awesome story about two telenovela stars who get to work together and fall in love on set. And it's funny, and there's a huge pack of cousins that support the main character, and there's great family dynamics and funny dialogue. It's steamy, and it kind of flips that, as we talked about, machismo on its head, because the actor, he has been stalked and he is suffering from anxiety and trauma from having this happen to him in his life. And it was nice to see a male character kind of going through this mental health journey along with our female character. And it, for being a funnier, lighter book, it really dealt with mental health in like a really awesome way that was really great to see on page, especially for a fiction romance novel. Alexis Daria is great. I've read everything she's written. And those are my recs. All right. I do see we have one question. Did anyone want to anything else before I ask you a question?
No, you can jump right in.
Awesome. So a patron, her name's Carol Lee, said, what have been some of the challenges of running your business during the pandemic? Has it forced you to embrace innovative approaches?
That is a good question. So it has been challenging because most of our sales are done in person. So we've had to get really creative about how we are promoting our books. So when we first started, we actually, I don't know that we even envisioned, we didn't envision selling books at shop, like as a pop-up shop. We didn't envision our bookstore being a pop-up shop. We talked about it being online, and then it was like a physical store, either online or physical, and both. But a pop-up shop, like what bookstore is a pop-up shop? No. So that meant signing up for, the markets and the mercaditos that folks in the community have put together to support local businesses. So all summer we have been hauling books back and forth. Valeria got stuck selling at a pop-up where it rained. It was a storm, like one time, and then on another time our tent like flew away with the wind, and I was like hanging onto it, and like I thought I was gonna be the guy from Up that is just gonna go on like the balloons, but I was like, didn't want to let go of our tent. So that was just challenging, like getting in front of folks and dealing with unexpected things happening. I'm kind of late all the time, so then it's like really frustrating. Like we just get frustrated with each other sometimes, but just like kind of like in dodgeball, we're just like dodging all these unexpected things that happen when you're running a traveling bookstore.
Yeah. And I think like books are like it's like a personal selection that it's easier to make in person. Like what people do you know that select books without touching them, right? Or picking them up first. And I think that's like essential to the experience of like choosing a book, is like grabbing it, being able to like touch it, flip through the pages. And because of the pandemic, like there's an essential piece of like when a reader starts building a relationship with the book and figuring out if they want it or not is missing. And so trying to translate like that physical connection virtually is really difficult. And it's been hard, right? Because people are also like really affected by the pandemic if they lose work. And so books are not, I wouldn't say like they're the cheapest thing you could buy if you want to be entertained, right? But some of them do have heavy price tags, especially if they're hardcover. And so trying to like be responsive to like the community and their wallet like is really hard. And so books, I would say, like, I mean, to me, they're a need, right? And they're important, and we all deserve to like have access to knowledge in the books. And so it's been difficult to like, how do we stay afloat and also provide responsive literature? So yeah, it's been tough.
I have to tell you, our patrons, even at the library, when we weren't allowing browsing, that was really difficult, probably the most difficult thing we managed during the times when we had shut down the stacks, because people were like, well, we'll get you whatever you want. And they like, I don't know what I want. So and it was a good opportunity for us to flex our reader advisory skills, because so often people will they're kind of the invisible library people, I call them. They come in and they get what they want and they leave, and we don't really interact because they go browse and they self-check and then they're gone. But we weren't able to do that for so long. So it really, as you said, you had a hand sell and kind of like, here's a stack that I picked out for you based on what we kind of talked about for a couple minutes. And if you like them, great. If not, I can try again.
Yeah.
So that's been like the magic of, just navigating through this pandemic. Like we figured out how to use things virtually. We can throw events, we can throw fundraisers, we can, do anything. It just takes a lot of time, creativity, work, just like with everything that is important. So that has been quite a challenge, is, coming up with these creative ideas to make sure that we are staying true to our mission and being here for the community, because I can't see ourselves not existing anymore. Can you imagine that? I mean,
No, me, I can't.
I
How
know.
about the
Absolutely not.
PDFs for the Colombian Palestinian event? How you had the free PDFs available?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was at one event at Mitchell Park. We were thinking of creative ways to get like free literature in the hands of like people who visited the event that was in support of like the struggles that the Colombians and Palestine was going through at the time, and like
And
it
still
was
going through.
and still going through. And one way that we were trying to be creative was to find free books online that were by Palestinian authors and Colombian authors. So we made like QR codes and put them on the table, and people could scan the QR and it would take them to a folder of free like free books. And so that was kind of another way that like we've been able to play around with like ebooks, and also just like a way to work around, like not everyone has to really buy something to like be able to benefit and learn more. But so that was also like another like creative way that we try to like work around pandemic stuff. So yeah.
I would love to see that list sometime. So I'm gonna.
Yes, I'll send it over.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions from our audience this evening. Greg, why don't we fly through what we have next, and then we'll wrap up with last words from our special guests this evening. I want to encourage everyone who's here to please consider doing our Black History Month reading challenge. It's really awesome and easy to do. Please tell your store supporters as well. All anyone has to do, and it's for all ages, so adults, little kids, babies, teens, all you need to do is log 3 reads throughout the month of February, either online or in a paper form. We'll send you the link to the PDF that you can print, or you can pick one up at your local Milwaukee Public Library branch. Of course, we're going to encourage you to read Black and Brown authors for this challenge, although we will not be, making sure, so it's on your honor. But any 3 books, audiobooks, comic books, whatever you want to do, fill it out, drop it in. There's really, really, really cool prizes for all ages. So adults, there's a niche book bar gift certificate, there's a bronze box, there's Milwaukee Bucks our gift card for teens. So really, really great opportunities to win a prize. And you got to play to win, right? All right, and then also on our website, you'll find a really cool Black History Month coloring sheet that you can download and print. We're also handing those out at our library branches. And then I'm so excited to tell everyone we have a new service that's available with your Milwaukee Public Library card. It's Canopy. So you can download this app on your phone, your TV that has the apps on it, or on your computer or smart device, and you just need your library card number and PIN, and you have full access to the catalog of films to stream at home. You can stream 5 films a month, which is really awesome. I'm just highlighting there's a whole Black History Month collection that you can check out through Canopy. We have that service for City of Milwaukee library card holders through 2022, which is super exciting. We just got it in January, so check out those movies. All right. And then I am so thrilled to tell everyone that I'll be hosting a panel of really awesome authors of the Black Love Matters collection on Tuesday, February 22nd, which is virtual. It includes the editor, Jessica Pride, best-selling author, Beverly Jenkins, and host of the Romance Ever After podcast, Allie Parker, who is also a contributor to the essays. This is going to be a really fun, relaxing evening talking about romance and why Black love matters. And then next up on Book Chat for Women's History Month, we'll be talking to Dr. Allison Clark Efford, who recently put out the book Radical Relationships, which is about a woman who lived in the 1800s, who was from Germany initially, and her letters and correspondences and work. It's gonna be a really good time. So hope you can pre-register for that. And then I think that's all our announcements. Awesome. So, thank you so much for being here this evening. We're just thrilled that we got to talk to you. Can you just briefly tell everyone what's next and anything else you want to let us know before we go?
Well, before we go, we want to shout out Berta and Margarita. We We know them very well, so thank you for joining us. But what's next for us is our anniversary month is coming up, which is the month of March. We're gonna have a number of events popping up, so please stay tuned. Follow our Instagram and our Facebook. We're actually gonna have a very special author with a book that is releasing very soon. Stay tuned, and we're also going to have a really cool tea party, so look out for that. And then we'll be making a special appearance at a very big venue in Milwaukee. We're not going to say where yet, but please stay tuned. And then we're actually going to have our first pop-up of 2022, and it's going to be at the MATC of Mequon on Monday, February 21st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And just find us in like the common areas, and we're popping up. It's open to the public. You don't have to be a student of MATC, but you'll find our most recent and new books that we just bought a couple weeks ago, which are behind Barbara, about 150 new books. Only. So please join us, and everything will be on our Facebook and our Instagram, and join our mailing list on our website if you haven't yet. We send out special coupons to our subscribers. Am I missing anything?
No. We're gonna have cake in March. So
Wait for the cake
Cake.
invitation.
yes. So all are welcome to join us to have cake.
Yes.
Yeah, don't remembering all that stuff. When in the email we send up, we'll include all their contact info and all that stuff.
Yep, we'll
Yes.
make sure you have all of that good stuff because you will want to sign up for all of it. I know I do. All right, well, thank you again so much, Barbara and Valeria. We hope to see you around in person at the library sometime and hope to have you back again in the future. Best of luck and happy early anniversary. You've done
Thank you.
amazing things this past year. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching.
Yes, thank you. We'll be in touch with everyone with an email and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.